My name is Reverend Dr. Wallace Bradley, and I'm the host of the Bradley Report. I'm also the president of United in Peace, Inc. This show has been put together by none other than the chairman of United in Peace, Inc., Dr. Terry Marsh Bradley. Got an interesting show for you, and it's the three great men in their own stations in life from the state of Illinois and from the city of Chicago. I'm talking about none other than the governor of Illinois, my friend, Governor J.B. Pritzker. The mayor of Chicago, Mayor Brandon Johnson, my friend, because we all believe that the state and the city must remain blue. And none other than something that everyone around the world pretty much said would never happen. And that is a pope coming from America. And I'm of the opinion and belief that everything is God's plan. And lo and behold, the Pope comes from the state of Illinois by way of the south suburbs and the city of Chicago. And the mayor, the governor, and the Pope, they all have the same thing in common. And you're going to see it for yourself. And the governor, the legislative staff, or the legislators came together and they put together a balanced budget for the governor to sign, which is his 8th balanced budget for the state of Illinois. Everybody was talking about that they want the bears to leave Illinois. The governor feels the same way. The mayor feels the same way. Don't want the bears to leave Illinois. And you're going to see what happens then. So without further ado, Amani, let's go to work.
Hey there, Tanya. Governor J.B. Pritzker shaking hands with the Illinois-born pontiff this morning during his visit to the Vatican. He came bearing gifts on behalf of the people of Illinois, including the millions of Catholics who call this state home. Among the items he brought, some special libations from the Windy City.
Your Holiness,
Welcome.
it's very nice to meet you. Thank you for welcoming me.
You're very welcome.
And we bring good tidings from Chicago.
This morning, the leaders of the state of Illinois and the Catholic Church sharing some quality time in Rome. Governor J.B. Pritzker sitting down with the hometown pope, offering his deep gratitude for his public service and positive representation of Chicago and Illinois. And he didn't show up empty-handed.
Invitation to come to Chicago.
Thank you very much.
From me and from my wife, and we look forward to welcoming you sometime.
First, an official invitation to return to his home state. Also part of their visit, Pritzker and the First Lady presented art from incarcerated women at Logan Correctional Facility, books on Illinois' history, and a 4-pack of Burning Bush Brewery's De Pope American Mild Ale.
How special was that, seeing your beer at the Vatican?
really is one of the coolest things. It's still sinking in, kind of pinching myself.
Get this, the owner, Brent Raska, is actually a Presbyterian pastor himself and rolled out the new beer called De Pope when Pope Leo was named. The governor visited the Northside Brewery last May when they first released it.
We did a Chicago Pope handshake with a shot of Malort and De Pope beer. And so it was great for him to visit. And then someone from his staff reached out on Saturday and said they wanted to pick up the beer and so that Governor Pritzker can deliver it. And I was like, oh my gosh, yes, of course.
Governor Pritzker posting, "It was an honor for MK and me to meet the Pope to express the pride and reverence of the people of this great state." His office releasing a statement saying, "As the first American Pope, a native Illinoisan and an advocate for the poor and less fortunate, Pope Leo XIV serves as a true inspiration to people of all faiths. His message of hope, unity, compassion, and peace resonates in his home state of Illinois and across the globe."
And Raska, or Reverend Raska.
You know, that's wonderful. And I forgot to make mention that all three of them guys, the Pope, the governor, the mayor, they are sports fans and Chicago sports fans. Let's go to the next one, Sister Monty.
I'll say my principles have been the same from the very beginning and until yesterday and remain today. We're about protecting the taxpayers of the state of Illinois. We want to keep businesses and grow businesses here, attract businesses to the state, make sure that the Chicago Bears are still an Illinois-based team. And we worked very hard to make all of those things happen at the same time. But I want to remind you, Oh gosh, I was in meetings throughout the weekend, indeed, on this, not to mention throughout the last 6 months. What I can tell you is that my principles focused on the taxpayers of Illinois and making sure we weren't doing something like paying for a stadium, a private, will say my principles have been the same from the very beginning and until yesterday and remain today. We're about protecting the taxpayers of the state of Illinois. We want to keep businesses and grow businesses here, attract businesses to the state, make sure that the Chicago Bears are still an Illinois-based team. And we worked very hard to make all of those things happen at the same time. But I want to remind you, Oh gosh, I was in meetings throughout the weekend, indeed, on this, not to mention throughout the last 6 months. What I can tell you is that my principles focused on the taxpayers of Illinois and making sure we weren't doing something like paying for a stadium, a privately owned stadium for a billionaire-owned team. That didn't make any sense to me, and I said from the very beginning we're not going to do that. That we would focus on only providing what was necessary in order to create infrastructure, as we have for other businesses in the state of Illinois, so that they can do business in the state. And those were all things that were part of the package that I set up and allowed the legislature to debate. The House passed a version of that, the Senate passed a version of that, and the fact that there wasn't agreement by the two houses is a question, I think, for the legislature. But I will say, I think the principles remained intact throughout.
Like I said, even the decision that didn't come down about if the Bears was going to go to Indiana, or they only had one choice, and that was in the north suburbs, and Chicago was off the table. And everybody was saying, did the mayor have a plan? And the mayor said he had been talking to them. But now the state came to grips, which is what everyone in the states of Illinois' concern is that they want the Bears to remain in Illinois. The Bears had the concern, as like the governor was pretty much saying. And the governor said he wasn't trying to give up taxpayers' dollars. And I'm paraphrasing, you heard what he said. To a billionaire. So if you feel it's already owned by the public or by the city, have a way, I'll let the mayor explain that to you. But without further ado, well, I had a technical difficulty in there. Couldn't get the sound together with the mayor. We'll try to see if we can get that again. But in the meantime, let's see what the governor's saying. You got sound with the governor?
Boy, we accomplished an awful lot, especially passing a balanced budget for the 8th time in a row. Our focus has been on improving the fiscal strength of the state of Illinois while also addressing the needs that people have across our state, especially bringing down costs. So I've got a piece of paper in front of me because so many things were accomplished. I want to start with, we provided infrastructure grants so that we could build more homes across the state, new homeowner down payment insurance for people who are first-time home buyers, junk fees. We eliminated the hidden junk fees that people can charge you on food and concert tickets and hotel rooms. We put some regulation in to make sure that auto insurance and homeowners insurance rates can't go up by ridiculous amounts and that you can't be gouged by them. AI, we've put in safety measures to make sure people are safer when they're using AI. We banned cell phones during the classroom day. That, I think, is going to help our education system broadly and most especially our kids. Of course, we made sure that we are regulating and keeping intoxicating hemp away from our kids. And we passed a social media safety act that makes sure that parents have the ability to turn off social media or to limit social media that their kids are exposed to. This list goes on, but what's most important is that we're lowering costs, we're standing up for people's rights, and we're making sure that we're making the investments that will drive this state forward. So stay tuned, we have more to tell you about it, but I'm really excited about what we've just been able to accomplish.
You know, that was a wonderful budget that the governor passed because he showed his concerns. But I want to see if I can get the mayor's piece on where he explaining his side and his plan that he had presented to the Bears.
A radioactive wasp nest? Yeah.
We were working on a term sheet, right? And this is important because no other section of the state has a plan to keep the Bears, right? I'm the only mayor in the state that has actually stood with the organization to present a plan. The term sheet, I mean, this is where you begin to work out the nitty-gritty in a negotiation. And there's still more work to be done there. But again, we are a lot further along than any other section in this state. We were working on a term sheet, right? And this is important because no other section of the state has a plan to keep the bears, right? I'm the only mayor in the state that has actually stood with the organization to present a plan. The term sheet, I mean, this is where you begin to work out the nitty gritty in a negotiation. And there's still more work to be done there. But again, we are a lot further along than any other section in this state. We were working on a term sheet, right? And this is important because no other section of the state has a plan to keep the bears, right? I'm the only.
You know, you see where the mayor was explaining that the part that he put in, and we all got to agree. There's a lot of people, especially legislators, that's glad that they put a plan together where Chicago will be back on the table and they will be competing with one another. One thing for sure, as the mayor was explaining, Chicago is a world-class city. I'm not knocking all the other cities, but Chicago is a world-class city. And I'm quite sure that what the Bears were asking, they got it in the bill that was passed by the Senate, waiting for it to be passed by the House and then to get to the governor's desk to sign. I believe I may have one more thing on there. Sister Monty, could you hit that piece? It's another. Wow. Let's see. Yeah. I'm gonna go straight to this piece right here with the mayor meeting the Pope. Thank you, Sister Monty.
A chance to sit down with the mayor and get a better idea. Yesterday in a press conference, Mayor Brandon Johnson gave us a recap about his meeting with Pope Leo XIV, Chicago born and bred. They talked about social justice issues. They talked about apologies regarding slavery. But today we had a chance to sit down with the mayor and get a better idea of their conversations. And it boiled down to a conversation between two guys from Chicago. One, the mayor, and the other, the first American Pope.
The question that's at the top of my mind, what was this experience like?
Well, I mean, it's really an honor and it's a humbling experience to go to the Vatican, to meet with the Pope, whose roots are in Chicago. It's a really humbling, and I'm feeling incredibly blessed.
What exactly did you talk about?
The first thing, as soon as we sat down, he wanted to know how Chicago was doing. Like as a true Chicagoan, missing his home and just really being concerned about, Midway Blitz, the attacks against immigrants, of course, the wars, the endless illegal wars. And then we talked about, my appreciation for him and his recognition of the horrific institution of slavery and the role that the church played.
It's really incredible that the leader of the Roman Catholic Church has come out and apologized for slavery.
It's a true testament of his faith, but it also speaks to his moral clarity.
Can you help me understand how the average citizen in Chicago benefits from this delegation and this visit here?
Well, I mean, first of all, I think it reassures the people of Chicago that our position for justice is a position of our faith, right? And at a time in which people are looking for hope and moral clarity, this provides that necessary connection between how faith and government can come together to solve the critical issues that many people are facing today.
You were two guys from Chicago in a room. Was it like being in a room with one of your friends back home?
We sat down and began to talk, right? And that's, really the spirit of Chicago, where two individuals who have, incredible responsibility, using that time to just share what our experiences have been and how we can come together to collectively to support humanity.
Take a look at this picture here. It shows the entire delegation of 46 people who met with Pope Leo XIV. They represented Chicago's business, religious, and political communities. Many of them brought gifts. They included jars of jardinera, also honorary degrees from Loyola and DePaul universities, and also some Cubs memorabilia, a Cubs hat that was presented to the Pope, who was very kind, we are told, when it was presented to him, but I think we have an idea where his allegiances remain, and that's with the White Sox. Reporting from the Vatican, Vince Girasoli, CBS News, Chicago.
Now I can say, before I end the show, one thing that's for sure. If you walk by faith in God, and you worship God, and you praise God, and you pray to God, and you are praying to God through his son, Jesus, or however way you pray to God, know that that is greater than hope. Because when you do that, you help keep hope alive. So let us pray that the Bears remain in Chicago. Because those three men that you saw on the show today are sports fans of Chicago. To God be the glory. That's my story.